My name is Farrah, and I can be found on Ravelry at Knitting My Shit Together, a version of it. The easier way, that was a whole snafu. Welcome to Knitting My Shit Together, episode 10. Double digits! Holy cow, episode 10, I can't believe it. Knitting My Shit Together is a knitting and fiber arts podcast where neurodivergence and yarn collide. My name is Farrah, and I can be found on Ravelry at Knitting My Shit Together, a version of it. The easier way, that was a whole snafu. I can be found on Instagram at Knitting My Shit Together. And this is Hamilton, the cat, and his butt, who makes a frequent appearance. I can be found on Ravelry at a version of Knitting My Shit Together, just shortened, because I can't have all the letters in a name on Ravelry. Yeah. Hamilton, I might need you to leave. Here, if you're gonna sit, come sit. Okay, to celebrate our 10th episode, I got lights. Well, I got a light from Sears Online. That was inexpensive. And I watched YouTube videos on lights because I'm trying to reduce glare on my glasses. So I might get one when I turn my head this way every now and then. And I have a little bit of shadow here. I might make a reflector thing out of tin foil or something. I don't know. I might try and MacGyver that. But I watched YouTube videos. So here's the thing. I have glasses and I love my glasses. I don't want to get rid of my glasses. I will never wear contacts because the thought of putting something in my eyeball gives me the heebie-jeebies like you can't even believe. But that means there's just glare. So I'm trying to reduce the glare by putting this off there, and I'll keep experimenting, and one day it'll happen or not, and you'll all just deal. Okay, so that's where you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram at Knitting My Shit Together. I use she, her pronouns. I'm looking at I will have show notes that I refer to all the time throughout so I don't lose my way. Talked about lights. Oh, okay, let's start off with something right off the bat. Today, Ravelry announced that they are going to ban open support for Trump. Well, let me pull up what they actually said and read the actual statement so I don't misquote them. Okay. We are banning support of Donald Trump and his administration on Ravelry. This includes support in the form of forum posts, projects, patterns, profiles, and all other content. Note that your project data will never be deleted. We will never delete your Ravelry project data for any reason, and if a project needs to be removed from the site, we will make sure that you have access to your data. So yeah, and they gave a whole bunch of policy notes. You can go to the main page at www.ravelry.com to read their whole statement. And I donated money to Ravelry tonight, and I would encourage you to do the same if you are able. I totally support this because, in the words of the late great Senator Paul Wellstone, we all do better when we all do better. I was kind of a history buff back in the day. Well, I still am kind of. I enjoy history. And at one point, I got this audio tape collection, which kind of ages me a bit. And it was full of radio broadcasts from the U.S. pre-World War II. And it was like a man on the street kind of thing. And they were interviewing them, like, what do you think about this situation? What do you know? And I'm like, wow, it sounds exactly like how people are talking today. Yeah. And I just don't believe in putting children in cages. I don't believe in a lot of things that Donald Trump believes in. And I do believe he's racist. He is. That's just, there's no question about that. And yeah. So let's get that off right off the bat. And if any of that is a problem for you, you should probably not follow me. Because yeah, that's where I stand. And I think I've made it obvious where I stand. Well, I haven't overtly said it, but my podcast is, I don't know. Maybe I assume people would assume and they really wouldn't, but that's where I stand. So yeah, yay Ravelry. I think it's really awesome that they took that step. I get that it's a huge risk and I get that they're going to get pushback. That's why I donated. And if you're able to, I would encourage you to as well. So yeah, that's my statement about that. And I just wanted to talk about it right off the top because it's timely and it's important. And when all the initial conversations, not initial, but like when a surge of conversations was happening around diversity and inclusion, around BIPOC folks, Black, Indigenous, people of color, around the beginning of the year, I wasn't really involved at that point. I mean, I was a knitter, but I'd kind of taken a break for a while. I'd just gotten out of the hospital. And so I've never really commented on any of that because it wasn't happening when I was podcasting. But now something is happening while and obviously it's always been happening while I'm podcasting, but kind of a statement, you know. I feel like I'm tripping over my words here, but oh well. So yeah, I support Ravelry and what they did. And I think it's awesome. Okay, moving on. Let's see. Introduction. Oh, I have an announcement to make. So you know how I've said like, oh, I have this announced thing I've been working on that I'm going to announce. Well, it's time to announce it. So hear me all the way out on this. I started making some project bags. You can find me where I do the bags on Instagram at tomboyfembags. And let me explain. And I'll show you 3 of them because there's 3 up right now. So here's how it happened. So I've always considered my style and aesthetic tomboy femme, which is, if you're not familiar with what it is, it's like, I like to wear some girly girl stuff, but I also like to wear it with Doc Martens and chopped off short hair. And it's that whole like girly girl, like what is that? You know, yeah. We won't get into gender politics and how ridiculous it is that we gender everything, including colors. But so that would be kind of what I call my aesthetic. It's kind of how I dress my whole life. And project bags have been hard for me to find. Like, I'm not into cartoon character-y things. And let me just say this. If you're like really super girly girl and you love it, this is not me knocking it. If you like hearts and sheep and cartoon things on your knitting bags, this is not me knocking it in any way. I think that's awesome. I think you do you. I think get a ton of project bags with sheep and hearts and flowers all over them. It's just not my style. And so, like a lot of really busy prints or, yeah, I don't know. I just like classic, simple things. So I was having a really hard time finding project bags. And finally I decided, what if I made one? And I've sewn before, not a ton, but I have. And so I made some. And then I thought there's gotta be other people like me. And so I reached out to a couple of people I know on the Instagrams in knitting, and they were like, yeah, completely. So that is what launched Tomboy Femme Bags. So let me say this. My goal is not to be making a living off selling knitting bags at all. In fact, if I had to prioritize what I love more, the bags or this podcast, I would say this podcast actually. But I'm not at a season in life where I can go out and get a part-time job right now because I just can't commit to being out of the house for like several chunk set hours at a time. It's just sometimes hard. And anxiety will rise up and whatever, but I can sew bags. And again, privileged that I'm in the position that I don't need to support myself financially. My partner is able to take care of a lot of that, but I'd love to earn my yarn money and contribute to our household expenses in that way and earn my own yarn allowance, and it just feels good. It's like making something and selling it. It's just, I don't know. It's just I've made this thing and putting it out in the world, and that feels good. So I've started making bags with a tomboy femme aesthetic. And you can follow me again at Tomboy Femme Bags on Instagram, and let me show you a few bags. So this is how it's gonna work. First off, one thing that I like is I am doing all my bags upcycled. So it's all reclaimed, reused fabrics. Obviously there's some things I can't get that way, like interfacing, I can't get that way. Or if I find some, I will, but I haven't yet. Some of the cording and stuff, like, what is that? Some of the cording or ribbon that I use in the drawstring bags, I bought new, and I will be looking for upcycled sources, but the fabric is all upcycled. And I want to keep doing that as much as possible. So let me show you a few of the bags. Oh, and so each bag is going to be unique. It's going to be one of a kind because it will be dependent on what fabrics I can find and get my hands on. And I have some great places where I can go to get stuff to upcycle, and it's been fun. So this week I've cut into my knitting time because I wanted to have bags on the Instagram page before I launched it and made it from private to public and talked about it on my podcast. And so yeah, that happened today. So I wanted to have at least 3 bags made, and I'm not gonna ever, because I don't see myself doing this to like support myself entirely, I'm gonna kind of like make 3 to 5 bags a week. And when I make one, I'll put it on that Instagram page and put it out. And then, yeah, that's how it will happen. And I'll just sell them through there. Like basically what I'm gonna do is if somebody wants a bag, whoever responds, comments and writes sold, it will be first come, first serve. I will then have them DM me, and I will, with an email address, I will send you a PayPal invoice. And once payment is done, I will mail your bag within 2 to 3 business days. And I got compostable mailers and compostable mailing labels. So I didn't want to upcycle and then put a whole bunch of plastic into the world. So I got compostable mailing bags and compostable labels. So that's all compostable, which is exciting, and the fabric is upcycled. And as much of the bags will be upcycled as possible. So let me show you a few of the bags. And maybe you'll get a sense of the aesthetic. These have been in a jar, so sorry if they're a little wrinkly, but yeah, So this is the larger of the 2. I don't know if I'll ever do a really big one. This is kind of a medium size one, drawstring bag. There is pinstripe on the bottom and gray on the top. This does have interfacing, and it is gusseted so it can stand up on its own. Oh, and I put plaid in the lining. And a buttoned pocket is on the inside, which is fun. And so one thing I don't love about knitting bags is when there's a permanently attached handle. I like when there's a loop. So what I'm doing is all of my handles are going to be detachable and button on. So if you look, this comes off, and you can take the handle off. So if you don't want the handle, or you want to attach this to a carabiner, to your backpack, or however you want to do it, you can. And then when you want a handle, you just put the handle back in and button it closed, and you have your handle back. So I'm going to attempt to all of the bags that can have handles, which I'll show you one coming up that can't, will have detachable handles. And I like the kind of pinstripe plaid with the ribbon touch as the drawstring. So this probably holds 3 to 4 skeins of yarn pretty easily. It's bigger than you think. I have the dimensions on the Instagram page. So yeah, you can see the dimensions and all that. And I love naming things. So I'm gonna, even though I'm not going to have like a bag style that I'm going to name. I'm going to name each of my bags based on the fabrics they're made of and what they inspire in me. So I decided to name this one Business Up Front, Party in the Bag. That is the name of this bag. Naming stuff is so fun. Okay, next one. This is a smaller version of that, and I have named this the In Crowd. It has this plaid, solid navy blue bottom. There is a pocket inside. It's gusseted and can stand up and has interfacing, just like the other one. And it also has a detachable handle and a light blue loop on the outside that matches the lining. So this is the In Crowd. And then my last one, so this is good for like socks or a 1 or 2 skein project at the most, but this would be great for carrying around a pair of socks with and knitting from. This is a bento bag. It's a bento style bag. So this can hold, like, I had 4 skeins of yarn in this. This is made of a lightweight upcycled cotton. And there's reinforced stitching at the join there. And what you do, and there's pictures on Instagram and the listing for this one, it lists, you can go slide through pictures. So you tie it in a knot and you can carry it like this. This would be great when you want to put a smaller project or a project in another project bag. This would be great. This would be great for just carrying a single project. This would be great for carrying your lunch. This folds up really small too, if you'll look. So this would also be great to like drop in your backpack, or if you carry a purse, or put it in your back pocket and use it to carry a small number of items home from the grocery store. Like, you could easily carry a 5-pound bag of apples in this, I think. So yeah, it's a great like reusable bag as well. And so this is the bento bag, the bento style bag. This one I named, I'm trying to remember what I named this one. I can't remember, but it's on Instagram. I wish I could remember this one. Oh, I know. This one I named, because it did remind me of this, Serious with a Side of Woo Woo. Yeah, I like this one. Okay. So I'll be making more of all of these 3 styles, and how I price them is really going to depend, like, on the amount of time I put into it and like how much detail is in it. Yeah, the fabric and like its weight, you know, just a lot of things. So the price will be in the listing on Instagram. Right now, this is $25. So party up, or business up front, party in the bag is $25 plus shipping. The In Crowd is $20 plus shipping. And Serious with a Side of Woo Woo, I can't remember what price I put on. I think it's 10 or less. Look on the Instagram post. And so yeah, follow me, follow the bags at Tomboy Femme Bags on Instagram. And I'll probably start sharing about it coming up. I just wanted to wait till I had some to put in there, and I wanted to announce it here on the podcast first. So it's been really fun and I'm really liking it. Okay, that's shameless self-promotion and intro. So let's move on to whips. Oh no, FOs, what am I thinking? Okay, the first FO I'm wearing, it's my Marettimo by Caitlin Hunter, Boyland Knitworks on Instagram. This is the first in the Knitily or Italy series. I'll stand up so you can see it. I love how it came out. I love how it fits. So this was old Madeline Tosh in my stash that I had bought before they kind of made highly insensitive comments on the social medias. So I wanted to use it. I probably won't be buying any more Madeline Tosh until I see like sustained change via actions, not words, because I really believe anybody has the chance to change and learn and grow and do differently. It just can't be words though, I think, for me. Anyway, yeah. So that's what this yarn is. The blue that's on the edging was in my stash, and I can't remember what it is. And the cream is the mica colorway of Walk Collection. And it's really soft. I alternated skeins throughout using helical knitting, so I don't have any, you know, stripes up a side where I switched yarns. I really like it. I really love how it turned out. So one thing I did differently is obviously I knit taller rows because my blocked row gauge was a little bit smaller than what hers was. So I had to knit more rows to get to know that after I blocked it, it would be the right length. And I'm really happy with the length. I'm happy with the sleeve width. Oh, and that was one other thing I did. So when I pick up for necklines and sleeves, I don't go based on the count that the pattern calls for if I don't need to for the pattern. And the reason why is because, well, for the neckline, I pick it up how I learned how, which is, you know, like when you're picking up vertically, pick up 3, skip 1, pick up 3, skip 1. When you're picking up horizontally, go in every one, and at a slant, I can't remember what I do, but yeah. So I just, hold on, Hamilton is eating something. What are you eating? Okay. So I picked up more than the pattern called for, but I really like how it comes out, and I like how this neck turned out. I love it. The sleeves, the amount so first off, I was a little worried that the arms would be tight anyway, and it turns out that the amount I picked up for the sleeves, so I picked up, counted, and it was the number of stitches for the size up. And so I decided for the sleeves to just follow those directions so that the sleeves would fit, and they came out perfect. I really like them. I'm really happy with them. What else? It was a fun knit. I mean, you know, the lace I had to really focus on because of me and lace. Sometimes knitting the body up until you get to the separation can be a bit of a slog at times, but also totally enjoyable mindless knitting. Ooh, Hamilton, he was eating yarn. Okay. Go away. So, it's like Hamilton problems today. So anyway, yeah. It was, I enjoyed knitting it. I would knit it again. It was really fun. I like how it turned out. I am really happy with it. And there's this dress I'm sewing that it's gonna look awesome with. I'm just trying to figure out some pocket issues that I'm working on. And once I have those worked out, yeah, it'll be great. But I really like it. I'm really happy with it. Love it. That's that. Okay, my other whip is right here. You know I'm always leaning over during these podcasts to get stuff. I should just, this is what I'm gonna do. You know, when you watch my podcast, like, you just get total realness of me moving my chair, intervening on my cat, for my cat, all the things. Okay, so I have sock blockers. Those came, I told you I'd ordered those. And so I can show you my socks on sock blockers. These are just plain vanilla socks. I did an afterthought heel using the Kirby Warby method, which I really like, and I like how they came out. I used, this is Quaere Fibre, the Nice Shoelaces colorway. I have leftovers that I will probably knit ankle socks for my youngest for their college box o' socks. And then the cuff, heel, and toe is done in Stephen B. Binge Knits, done with, that he puts out in collaboration with 3 Irish girls. And it's a fingering weight yarn called, the colorway is Because I Have a Gun. So that is my other FO, these socks. These were really fun to knit. Yeah, and I'll just jump ahead for an acquisition. I got these sock blockers off of Webs, because, you know. And again, I don't block socks because you put them on your feet, but I get for the podcast, it is helpful for me to have them on blockers for you all to see what I've done. So those are my 2 FOs. Okay. Now let's move on to whips. I lost my page in my notes. Okay. I will start with my next pair of socks I cast on. I want to work more on my youngest college boxo socks. And I'm, a lot of them are shorties and little ankle socks. So I'm using the 3 Irish Girls Binge Knits with Steve and B I'll use that for the toe, heel, and cuff again, and I'll do an afterthought heel. And then I actually won't do it for the cuff because what I'm doing is a version of those rolled socks. I forget what they're called. I'll put the name of it up here. I bought the pattern on Ravelry. And yeah, but I'm going to do an afterthought heel instead of a gusseted heel, but I'm not going to do like a ribbed cuff this time. I'm going to do a rolled cuff, and I am using leftovers from Stitch Together Yarns, Stitch Together Studio. This is a choose your own adventure color that I got for the month of April, I believe, if you want to see it. And it's a speckly yarn. I used it in my spring cleaning shawl, and this is what is left over. And I just wanted to see what it would knit up like in stockinette. And I like it. I think it'll make a cute pair of little ankle socks for them. That is one whip. Okay. My next whip, I haven't done anything with the spring cleaning shawl, so I'm not going to show you that one because no progress has been made since last week. But I did cast on Tanya, sort of. So I swatched for it. Hold on. Here is my swatch. It's not super tall, but it did the trick. I don't know that my fairy knit mother, Patty Lyons, would approve of the height of this. She would approve of the width. So this is the swatch, and I'm knitting this in MUSE 2320 Fiber Company, their Crane Wife base. And this is the Matcha Latte colorway. It is beautiful. I wish you could feel how soft this was. And I am using one of Bad Betty Knits swatch labels. This one says, swatch today, swear less tomorrow. I haven't tied to it, and I figured out what I'm going to do with these. So I want to keep like a swatch library. So I'm going to get a big 3-ring binder and a large manila envelope, a paper one, and put each of these swatch gauges in it when I do a garment, and then write what the garment was on the front of the envelope and put it in the 3-ring binder is what I'm going to do. But that's this swatch. Okay. So basically I cast on and I'm on row 2. Which is sad, but I did cast on like 340 stitches, and I was doing a lot of sewing this week, so it got into my knitting life. And once I got a lot of that done, I'll be able to focus more on my knitting this week and just spend a couple hours a day doing a bag rather than like hours and hours and hours, because I was just doing lots of pattern troubleshooting and figuring out how I wanted to tweak the patterns and what I wanted to do with them. So yeah. But this is my Tanya so far. So Tanya, Caitlin Hunter, Boyland Knitworks. This is the second in the Italy series. The Marettimo's the first. And I was smart, and this time I put in stitch markers to mark my pattern repeats so that I won't repeat the debacle I had with the lace on Marettimo. And it's fine so far. I'm enjoying it. I actually did a few sections before I started recording, and I had a hard time setting it down. I was like, maybe I can just do one more section, and then I was like, no, you just need to record, because then you have a lot of editing to do, well, some editing to do, but so you can upload the podcast tonight. So yeah, that is my second whip. And then my third whip is, let me find it. Oop, here it is. The Cheri Chevron Shawl by Ambah O'Brien. I'm in the middle of a row. So I love, so okay, here's one bonus of these new lights. Look how good it shows off yarn. That is worth it. So this maroon color is Walk Collection. I think it's 100% fingering weight merino. And this is the colorway called Quaere. And then these bluely speckled stripes, that is by MUSE 2320 fiber. I can't remember what base it's in. I want to say Crane Wife maybe, but I'm not for sure. Sorry about that, Sarah, who owns MUSE. But it is the kitchen sink colorway. And I love how it looks in this shawl. I mean, it's so cool, like yeah, with that color. I really like it. I really like how it's knitting up. It's a fun knit. Yeah, I'll probably get some progress made on this one this week. So that's my other whip. I think that's my third and final whip. It is. Which brings us to the pattern of the week. So the pattern of the week this week is, I'm going to have to throw down on some Latin here for you. Hold on. Let me pull this up. So it is a cowl and hat set. And it is called the Lucem Fere Hat and Cowl. And Lucem Fere in Latin means light bearer. And this pattern is by, and hopefully I get his name right. His given forename is Sultan. He uses he, him pronouns. His Ravelry and Instagram name is Spun Nomadiddy. Spun, yeah. Hopefully I got that right, Sultan. And this is what I loved about this and why I chose it. So he talks about his inspiration on the pattern, and he was inspired by a bioluminescent jellyfish called Baroforksali. I don't know if I pronounced that right at all. If you don't know what bioluminescence is, it's really freaking cool. And so I have a video that I found off YouTube of this specific bioluminescent jellyfish that we're going to watch together for the next 53 seconds. And then it's totally mesmerizing. And then when we're done watching this, we'll talk more about the pattern. And I'm going to put a link to this YouTube video and the pattern on Ravelry in the show notes in the box down there. But let's pause and just bliss out together to watching this jellyfish. Okay, isn't that incredible? It's amazing. Now look at the pattern. I'm going to put a picture up. I'll put it right here. Do you totally see how that inspired that? I just love that Sultan was inspired by something in nature, and that he names the inspiration, and that you look at it and you're like, yeah, I get it. Like, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I like this hat and cowl for, well, I mean, I think I could see myself wearing it. I like his contrasting a bulky yarn with a fingering weight yarn, and having that fingering weight yarn be lighter and the threads, the light threads going through like the jellyfish. I think that's really cool. And one thing I started researching, so they make glow in the dark yarn, people. How cool would it be if you found a fingering weight glow-in-the-dark yarn and did that as the threads on like a gray or black bulky yarn? That would be cool as hell, is what that would be. And like, remember Hand Me My Knitting, the podcast I talked to you about, how I talked about it in my midweek mini. Remember how she got bright neon yarn in a color club and was like, I don't know what I would do with it. She could do this with it. Put it with a black or gray and knit up a Lune Fibre hat and cowl set. It would be awesome with like that hedgehog fibers, all the neons. That would be really, really cool. So I bought this pattern and it'll be fun to knit. It'll be like, yeah, it'll be a fun little project to do. So I bought this pattern, and then Sultan generously donated 3 to the podcast for me to use as a giveaway. It's like my very first giveaway on episode 10. Thank you, Sultan. Yeah, so let's talk about this. I've never run a giveaway before, ever in my life for anything. So we're going to agree right now that we're all going to have grace for me. I don't know how this is all going to go on the interwebs, okay? But I'm going to do the best I can. So I kind of came up with some rules. I thought about this beforehand, like how do I want to do it? I want to reward people who are watching. I want someone who subscribes. So here's what I'm going to say. So there's 3 patterns to give away. Okay. There's 3 different ways you can win. So everybody who enters, if you to win, you have to be following Spun Nomadiddy on Instagram, which I'll put up right here. So from any of the 3 categories, you have to be following Sultan on Instagram to win. Okay. Then for one category, it would be you subscribe or are subscribed to my YouTube channel, to this vlog, to Knitting My Shit Together. I will draw one winner from just those people. Then I will draw a second winner from people who mention or share my vlog, Knitting My Shit Together, this one, on Instagram. So it's the only platform I'm on. So like, yeah. So if you share, like you could take I know like when every time I put out an episode, I put out a little picture that says episode whatever. Boo. If you share that or any other of my things and mention the podcast, share that thing, mention and share on Instagram, that will be one drawing. Then the third way to win, so you could technically enter 3 times if you did all of these. The third way is for you to leave a comment below on what in nature inspires you. I thought that was fun. So comment about what in nature inspires you, and I will randomly draw from those as well. So those are the 3 ways you can win one of these sets, the Lune Fibre hat and cowl set. And I'm really excited. Thank you so much, Sultan. That is how. I hope that was clear. If it's not, leave a question, DM me on Instagram, and I will clarify. I'll do like a little, yeah. Because if you have a question or confusion, other people probably do as well. And then I'll just do like a story about it or something on the YouTubes or on the Instagrams. Okay, to add even more confusion. Okay. So that's the pattern of the week. I really like it. Thank you, Sultan, for donating 3. And let's do our first giveaway, people. It will be fun. Okay. Let's move on to the mental health moment. I'm going to get a Coke Zero before we start the mental health moment. You know my thing with these. Okay. If you've watched before. Oh, and I didn't say, hey, welcome back in the intro. I forgot to say, hey, welcome back if you're a regular viewer. If this is your first time watching, welcome for the first time. Okay. As you can see, this is very fly by the seat of my pants, unscripted. And I don't delete things. Okay. All right. Mental health moment. This week's mental health moment is inspired by my last week, which, especially the last 3 or 4 days, have kind of been a mental health moment in and of themselves. So I don't have anything. Not that there aren't things we can talk about, but usually throughout the week, something will come to me and I'll be like, yes, that's going to be the mental health moment this week. And nothing like that happened. I've had a rough week. I put this out on Instagram yesterday. I was kind of hiding on Instagram. I was just hiding out in general and kind of throwing myself into my sewing and my knitting and just burying myself in it because I was just feeling really blah. Pride has been a little triggering for me this weekend, more so than I thought, for reasons I won't get into. So it's been a rough couple days, and I'm okay. I'm doing everything I can to take care of myself. I'm doing good. I'm using my skills. It's hard, but I'm using my skills and doing okay. However, part of a way I need to care for myself is, like, one of the things I've been blah the past few days. And it never even occurred to me to not record, because when I thought about recording, it brought me joy because I love doing this. This is so much fun. Here's what you guys don't know. So, when people ask that question, like, if you could do anything vocationally, and education, experience, age, money, blah, weren't an issue, what would it be? I always answer with 2 things. I have for years and years and years. A writer, which I'm studying English and creative writing. I do write. And then the other thing I say is I would want to host a show on NPR, is always what I say. And I'm not on NPR, but I feel like this is kind of a version of that. And I really enjoy doing it. So even though I was depressed, it didn't occur to me to not podcast today, to not record. That wasn't even an option, and not out of some should. Out of this gives me joy, and just thinking about doing it made me happy and motivated me. So yeah, but right before I started recording, I started being like, oh, I have to have a mental health moment. And I was like looking through things like, what can I find? And here's the deal. That's not how I want this to happen. Like, that behavior is like striving and perfectionism to me and shoulding on myself. And that's what makes me hate things. And so I decided to stop. And so I did. I was just like, you know what? This is going to be the mental health moment right here. The mental health moment is going to be about honesty and transparency and saying it was a hard week. And sometimes, well, all the time, when I'm feeling depressed and having a hard week, creativity is hard. And I think that's why I enjoy knitting and sewing so much, because it's like following patterns. So I get the creativity of making something, but I don't have to make it up. Whereas sometimes I feel like content, like the mental health moment, it's like it comes for me out of a place of inspiration, and I just don't usually feel super inspired when I'm depressed. So yeah, I decided I don't want to ruin this. I don't want to ruin the podcast, and how I'll ruin it is by shooting on myself. And so I just decided to not shoot on myself and to just come to you guys and say, I'm grateful for all of you. And I really appreciate everybody's kind words when I finally was transparent yesterday on Instagram and said I was having a hard time. I'm grateful for everyone who wrote kind and loving words or just even liked the post. Like, I'm grateful for that, and thank you. And I'm grateful for my 59 subscribers who are subscribed, and I encourage people to subscribe and like this. Doing this just brings me so much joy. And so when you're doing something that brings you joy and then you learn that it brings other people joy, that just multiplies it even more. So I'm grateful for all of you, and thank you. And thank you for the grace that We don't have a like really serious, detailed, planned out mental health moment this week. We just don't. Hopefully next week we will. Yeah. I just wanted to be here with you, and I just wanted to record regardless of whether or not I had a mental health moment. And I feel like that's the most honest mental health moment I could do. So yeah, that's today's. Okay. Acquisitions. I say this every time. I'm going to say it again. I do acquisitions because I like supporting artists. And I'm able to support artists, and there are people who watch my show who are able to support artists, and I want them to. And so that's why I do it. I get stuff for projects, just so you know, like yarn and all of that. I'm not about amassing amounts that I'm not going to use. I usually buy pretty intentionally, but I also don't feel bad about it. Because of how I buy, I don't feel bad about it. And also for people who maybe it's not in their budget to support local artists, indie artists and designers and dyers and all of that, that's cool. If you don't want to watch, you don't have to, but I'm just going to do life in general after this, a little bit of it. But sometimes when I watch other people's acquisition things on their podcasts, it inspires or sparks a creative idea for me or an alternative, or like, oh, I can't do that, but I could do this, which would be a version of that for less expensive. Like I was watching a podcast, I can't even remember which one, and they mentioned clogs, and I was like, I've been meaning to get a new pair of clogs, and the kind they mentioned I couldn't afford. It was out of my budget. But I went and I found a pair that was totally within my budget, and I love them, and they've been making me very happy. Although I have a huge freaking blister. Look at that. Look at that. I'm breaking them in. They fit. I'm just going to put moleskin on those things, and then, you know, you develop calluses and it'll be fine. Okay. Acquisitions. There's my little acquisitions rant. Now I'll actually do acquisitions. Okay. Where to begin? Okay, I don't have that many things, but I'm just like, where should I start? So you already saw the sock blockers. And the next thing I want to go to is a special pin. This pin is by Kathy. Kathy watches the podcast. Hi, Kathy. And Kathy's daughter, Mandy, watches the podcast. And Mandy and I have kind of become Instagram virtual pals. And Kathy owns Whatnot. And there's her Etsy address. I'm just going to put her Etsy address in. Oh, actually not here. She's Whatnot on Etsy. Here's her Instagram handle too. And then I'm going to put a link to her shop in the show notes in the drop down box. Okay. But, I follow her on Instagram, and one day she put this up like, oh, in the shop. And I was like, I want to go to there. Look at this pin. Okay, I love that it says fuck you and has flowers all around it. Like, that is tomboy femme, Kathy. Like, fuck you in Scrabble letters with flowers around it. Totally tomboy femme. I love it. So I want it. And so she sent the package. It came from Australia, and I live in Minnesota, so it feels like we are literally on other sides of the planet. And it came in a very timely manner. And she included a bag of licorice tea, which smells so good. I haven't enjoyed it yet, but I'm going to. It's just kind of been hot and muggy. She included a pin with her logo, with the Whatnot logo. And she doesn't, so she sells progress keepers, hand knit goods that she has already knit up, like shawls and stuff, other things too, stitch markers, enamel pins, a whole myriad of things. Like, go check out her shop, okay? And don't be deterred if you live in North America. don't be deterred that it's in Australia and like, oh, it's going to take forever. It really wasn't that long at all. It wasn't. And then she gave me a progress keeper, a koala bear. It's on my socks I'm doing. Hi, and Hamilton loves it too, Kathy. You can hear him meowing in approval. Right, Hammy? Now he's not going to talk. And look, it continues my nature theme of my progress keepers. A koala bear on a tree. A eucalyptus tree, I think. I think it's eucalyptus they eat. Isn't that cute? Can you see it well good there? It's adorable. I love it. And it is on my socks, marking the right side of my sock. And every time I see it, I think about Kathy and smile. I mean, maybe not every time, because that'd be a lot of times because I'm flipping this up and I don't want Kathy to think like I'm stalking her or anything. But it was very kind, and thank you, Kathy, and go check out her shop. Okay. Hamilton, do you want up? Do you want to come up? Hamilton wants to join us. Okay. The next thing I got was Lavender Lune yarn. I have been eyeing this colorway at Stephen B for weeks. So this is Lavender Lune yarn. This is called the Raw Honey colorway. And the base is called, I don't know what the base is, but it's 400 yards of fingering weight yarn, 100 grams, 80% superwash merino, and 20% nylon. And let me tell you what I'm going to use this for. I am going to use this for the V-neck magpie. So the V-neck magpie was the pattern of the week last week. And I thought I was going to use some of my forest fiber arts for it, but I was like, I think I want to save that for something else. Because the thing is, like, I'm going to knit something with it for sure, but I don't know if I would wear purple a lot, whereas yellow is one of my colors and I will totally wear it a lot. And I wanted to wear the V-neck, be able to wear the V-neck magpie a lot. And I think the purple, while it would look lovely, I don't know if I would wear it a lot. Like purple, I'm going to put in like a cowl or shawl or socks or a hat like that. I would wear more than a purple top, if that makes sense. So I got this. And what I'm going to do is in the V-neck magpie, it has a way you can use two colors. So you do like an I-cord edging and top of the shoulders and down and edging around the sleeves in one color. And I'm going to use the leftover this color. So this. So that it's going to be kind of grella. So I have a whole skein of this left over. I had 3 skeins, and what happened is, no joke, I had an inch left to knit on one of the sleeves and I had to break into the 3rd skein. So I have almost a full skein left. And so I'm going to, look at it, it'll be like grello. I think they go well together. So that is going to be this. Either that or I have some other grays I'm going to use. But yeah, Lavender Lune yarns. Lavender Lune is in Minnesota and another Minnesota maker. And it's lovely. And I like the little darker speckles. And I think this is going to be a lovely V-neck. I was so tempted to cast this on. So tempted. But I was like, no, I want to do Tanya. Plus, the yarn I'm using for Tanya, that MUSE fiber, is so soft. It's like a party in your hands, okay? It's so soft to knit with. And yeah. Okay. So I think the next thing before I do the Novelli, I'm going to do my V-neck magpie as my next garment. So I'm looking forward to it. Okay. Then, I don't know if you heard, Knit Picks re-released Felici sock yarn, self-striping sock yarn. And you know my ADHD brain loves me some self-striping sock yarn. So I got a lot. I'm going to mostly do these for my youngest college box of socks, but also maybe a pair for me. Yeah, so I'm going to make mostly shorties with these because they are 50 gram balls, not 100 gram balls, but I'll show you the colors I got. So I got 2 of these, and this colorway is called Punky. I got 3 of the rainbows. And these, I think they're $5.99 a piece, so they're really affordable. You do have to get 2 to make a full pair of adult socks, though, if you're not doing shorties. This is called... Why do I keep losing where this is? Oh, I love the name, Cloudy with a Chance of Rainbows. I got 1 of these. I thought they would really like this color. And this one is Ribbit. And 1 of these. And this colorway is Grape Gatsby, which is awesome. So yeah, I got all of that, Knit Picks Felici, for all the striped socks. Lots of shorties for them. Their college roommate is going to be like, what the hell is up with your socks? Either that, or their college roommate is going to be like, your mom is so fucking awesome. Will she make me socks? Yes, I will. Okay, if you prove yourself to be knitworthy, future college roommate. Okay, so then one last thing. And this was a gift, a special gift. So I have a really good friend. I call him we call each other brain twinsies. His name is Putney. And he and I think so much alike in so many ways, and we really relate to one another. And our brains work so much alike. We kind of have some similar diagnoses too. But he too will like find a thing and just get obsessed and go all the way in on it. And so we joke and laugh with each other. So like lately he has gotten into playing cards, like being able to do tricks with playing cards. And he's like, yeah, so I bought myself some playing cards to practice with. And I'm like, oh, and I think he said like he got 60 decks or something. And I just burst into laughter and he laughed. I'm like, of course you did, because you can't just get like 2 decks. You've got to get like 60. But another thing Putney is obsessed with is his 3D printer. And I had seen drop spindles being 3D printed, and I've never used one, but I want to try spinning with a drop spindle. And Putney made me one on his 3D printer. Look at this. It's got like a Celtic pattern, he said. And instead of the hook on the top, it has a notch in it like a crochet hook. We'll see how that goes. And it's weighty too. Like I was worried it wouldn't be weighty enough to work because, you know, it looks plastic, it looks really light, but it's not. It's really weighty enough. And so I completely cannot wait to get roving and try this. I don't know anything about like what kind of fiber I need to get, where I would get it. I know so little about spinning. I know nothing about that. But there are probably people who do, who work in yarn stores. So I'm just going to ask them, I think. And try it. Maybe I'll video it the first time I try. That could be entertaining for all of you. So yeah, my new drop spindle. It's really awesome. And those are all my acquisitions. Yeah. That's it. Life in general. Not much new, everyone. I'm looking forward to Stitches Midwest, making plans and preparations. I signed up. They're doing a slumber party. I think that's what it's called. It's like just a knit together at night, and it's free. So I signed up for that because I thought that could be fun to go to. And I think it's from like 10 to midnight or something, which I'm like, those are totally prime hours for me. Yeah. Oh, here's a life in general thing that I want to talk about. It's kind of a podcast related announcement thing, but I want feedback on this one. So Mandy Meow, hi Mandy. We did our first virtual Fibre group. So, you know, on Instagram, you can video chat with people, and realize she lives in Australia, okay? So, because I have delayed sleep phase syndrome, I'm up in the middle of the night when it's like reasonable hours for her. And so we did a video chat a couple times, but one time we did, and she was crocheting and I was knitting and we were talking, and that would have been good for the mental health moment for me too. Like when I'm feeling like that, having that connection and talking with somebody who can make me laugh, which Mandy can totally crack me up, and somebody who gets it, and she does, but I don't have to leave my house, can feel really, really good. And so there's got to be other people who feel the same way who are neurodivergent. So I want us to do virtual knit-alongs. And I don't know how we do that. I did see, like, when you go do a live video on Instagram, people can send a request to join. So I think this week, what I might try doing is when I'm just sitting here knitting, maybe I'll even do it later tonight. No, because you won't have seen this. So look for me nights this week. If you live in Europe or Australia, it'll be your like regular daytime hours. If you live in North America, it'll be the middle of the freaking night. But if you too have insomnia or sleep issues or delayed sleep phase syndrome, I'll start a live feed. And I think all you all need to do is say request to contribute or join. I think that's how it works. And we can do random virtual knitting groups for people who don't love leaving their house. And I think it sounds awesome and it will be fun. So I'm going to try it a couple times this week. And I'm going to keep pestering you all till some of you join. So if you see that I go live and you want to do that, join the virtual online knit along. Okay? All right. You guys, 10 episodes. Thank you so much to everybody who subscribed. Thank you to everybody who's even watched. Even if you watched like 5 seconds and decided like, who is this person? And deleted, thank you. For reals. It's a joy, and I'm really grateful, and I'm grateful for 10 more. I'm grateful for 100 more. If you liked the podcast, or even if you're maybe like hesitantly curious, like and subscribe. Follow Tomboy Femme Bags. And yeah, and in the Tomboy Femme Bags, I have 2 highlights. One is how to buy, which gives instructions of what to do. And then the other one is Meet Your Maker, which is going to have a link to this podcast in it too, but also says, I made funny picture faces things about why I did this. So yeah. Okay. Thanks everybody for joining this week. I will see you next week. Thank you for bringing some joy and delight to my past couple days. I really, really needed it. And thank you. Bye.